Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Explain something about coaches to our audience. You'd like to think they learn along the line. Travis Green's a great example. Do you think he hasn't learned from his time in Vancouver and New Jersey? He's got to be a better coach now, I would think. Ottawa's getting a good one.
I think everyone learns. If you don't learn, you're out pretty quick, and you're out without any success. These guys have all had a degree of success with Craig winning a cup. Look, all learned along the way that, especially in today's age, you're stroking 23 to 25 different egos on a daily basis. It's also part of the babysitting process as well. And you got to have a strong staff around you. But the biggest thing at the end of the day, it's not always about your staff. It's about you as the head guy and how do you communicate with this group, collectively and individually. I think the guys that have some personalities that are willing to do that and take a sincere interest in not just you, the player, but more importantly, the person and you and your family, those are the guys that get a longer rope in that locker room. Those are the guys that the locker room learns to trust better. And I think some of these guys have started to figure that out. And it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, coaching the National Hockey League is a very, very tough gig. And like I said, you're dealing with a lot of different egos, a lot of personalities. Every day is a moving target. Something always going on every day. And it's a tough job. And those guys who get those jobs, hats off to them and good luck to all of them.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
But our poll question today is, how much has officiating affected these Stanley Cup playoffs?
I would say no more than normal. It always it's like death and taxes, Rod. It's the same thing it literally is the same conversation every year. You're not going to keep everybody happy. But I haven't seen any call that's decided a game.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, man, is today going to be great. I can tell it's already great. And for those who are watching on YouTube, I was having a pretty good hair day yesterday. I don't know if I can replicate that today or not. As they say, I didn't put any product in today. But that's okay. We've been busy. Let's bring in the Moose. It was great talking hockey with Tim Peel yesterday. We're going to continue the fun today. We got Matthew Barnaby, famed NHL Super Pest, coming up in hour one. Arash Madani, just overall super pest in hour two. From Rogers Sportsnet, we welcome everybody in. Hope you are all having a great day. Moose, before we jump to the heavy lifting, and that is the sports talk that we do here, how are you? What do you have to say for yourself today?
I'm great. On top of the world. Woke up on the right side of the bed, and, I'm excited for the show because man, these playoffs are good, and I know we're getting into it. But, yeah, it's a good day on this side.
Yeah. I was just flipping through Facebook, and my guy, Marty Forbes, he's a radio legend from the legendary Forbes broadcasting family in Alberta. He's just put it on Facebook. I'm going to read it. And it's just, you need to be of a certain vintage to appreciate this. He says, great line from Sportsnet. Quote, since ink-stained, cigarette-smelling, booze-soaked newspaper reporters first invaded NHL dressing rooms a century or so ago, coaches have tried to spin positivity, unquote. And Marty goes, I remember those guys. I do too. And that's the thing. We are in it, in the thick of it here in round two of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and the coaches are still trying to influence the media, influence the fans and the officials and all the rest. And now I'm all worked up, so let's go. Can you hit the quick six show horn, please, Director Jordan? And we will go. What I have, by the way, is a real cornucopia of sports talk here, a real buffet. We got Stanley Cup playoffs. I want to talk about Sean Lemon in the CFL. He has been a real pain in the commissioner's butt. WNBA, if you can believe, for the Toronto Blue Jays rained out. NBA playoff results. In our sports update, we've got junior hockey, both major junior and junior A updates, and then tonight's NHL game. So that's what you can all look forward to here. But number one, Evan Bouchard's goal with 38 seconds left in the third period snapped a 2-2 tie, lifting the Edmonton Oilers to a 3-2 Stanley Cup playoff victory over the visiting Vancouver Canucks last night. Leon Draisaitl and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins also scored for the Oil, who evened up the series at 2-2. Connor Garland and Brock Besser scored third period goals for the Canucks. Game 5 Thursday in Vancouver. I'm going to be totally honest with you. When I heard they were starting Calvin Pickard, I didn't think they were serious. People were writing in here yesterday, they're starting Pickard in goal. I'm like, nah, I didn't even read it to the air because I didn't think that they would. And dagnabbit, it's not even a goaltending controversy now in Edmonton. Again, there's smart hockey people in Edmonton and across Canada. You got to go with a goalie that wins. So good on Pickard. If I'm saying it right, I never was sure how to say it. Him and his brother Chet, is it Pickard or Picard? Doesn't matter. He's a winner. That was his first playoff start, by the way. And he goes in there and backstops them to a victory. So it's 2-2 going to Vancouver. What a doozy of a series, Moose.
This has become the series in the second round. You know, I started and said it was New York, Carolina, but, you know, and you would think maybe it's Florida, Boston, and especially with Boston winning again. But then you could go to Dallas, Colorado. Just tells you, man. They're all good. All the options at the buffet this time of year are good. But that series now 2-2, you know, a shot here, shot back, shot forward, you know. And Edmonton went into Vancouver, did what they needed to do, wrestled home ice advantage away. Vancouver went into Edmonton, wrestled home ice advantage right back. So it's a best of three. They go to Vancouver, and we basically have solved nothing.
Yeah, best of three. I'm sitting here smiling because the whole world's smiling with me. I sense that people are writing in about my clothing today, which, by the way, is a clothing line called Scales. I believe they're here in Florida. Patrolman Pete writes in and says, Rod just needs the stash to complete the Magnum PI look. Utah Darren writes in and says, Rod is channeling his inner Magnum PI today. Love the shirt. Here's what I'm smiling because I used to say this about people, and I'm not going to say who, but I would say he thinks he's Tom Selleck. And long about 10 years ago, I had people saying, you need to update that, broad. Nobody knows who Tom Selleck is. Never mind the fact he's still on television now, and after Magnum PI, there was still Quigley Down Under and all other shows that whatever, you don't know who he is. So I updated it. He thinks he's Brad Pitt. Do I need to update that? What do I say? He thinks he's Zac Efron. He thinks he's Darren DuPont.
How about that?
That's what I was laughing about. They're all saying the Magnum PI look. And I have a reason why I'm wearing this. I'm not going to get into it now. John Ohm writes in, he says, just when you think you have the NHL figured out, boom, the other team wins. Wowzers. And hallucinations. I think he's referring to my shirt. So the poll question has to do with the all-Canadian series, Vancouver versus Edmonton. Who do you think will win this series? That's our poll question today. The majority, from what I saw, you don't need to update me, Clark, because I think we just put it up. But from what I saw, the majority is saying the Edmonton Oilers will win. I picked Vancouver basically to make Serena happy, because if I picked Edmonton, she'd be upset because she says I'm always wrong. At least I have the balls to make a prediction. But anyways, I'll say Vancouver for her benefit. But I know we have a lot of Edmonton viewers. I'd rather not get on their bad side. So I'll say Vancouver is going to win this series. What would you vote for?
I'm going to vote for Edmonton because I picked them all along to win this series and meet Dallas in the conference final. I'll stick with it. But it's a long series, and there's not much separating these two. They both have really figured out how this series is going to be played, and it's a good one.
So, moving on, Giles. His name is Giles. He writes in from Kingston, Ontario, the home of Don Cherry, Dougie Gilmore, Mike McCullough, and Rob Bagg. Kingston, Ontario. Giles writes in on the Sober Carpenter text line, 902-518-3033. He says, it's amazing how consistent the Florida Panthers have been since making the big dance last year. You can tell they want it, and want it bad. Yes, they do. but it's their 5th year in the playoffs consecutively, so it wasn't just losing out in the Stanley Cup Finals. It's an interesting story if you follow it, and I read that because he's referring to last night's game and what I think is the best series in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Charlie McAvoy's first goal of the playoffs, scored at 10:25 of the second period, stood up as the winner as the Boston Bruins avoided elimination by edging the host Florida Panthers 2-1 in NHL play. Morgan Geekie also scored for the Bruins. Sam Reinhart scored for the Panthers, who still lead the best-of-7 series 3-2, and Game 6 goes Friday in Boston. So later on today, we're taping the Cats and Bolts podcast. Perfect. 2 days off in between games. Johnny O's coming on the show. Johnny O from Boston, the biggest Bruins fan I know, aside from Serena's dad and Perry Nias. And we might have to throw down the gauntlet here. So people were writing me last night, Darren, on the Cats and Bolts Instagram feed going, why can't the Panthers close it? Why can't they, when they get in a position like this, they can't step on the jugular? And I'm like, hey, dude, I picked this saying up in football, but it works here. It's a bugger when the other team tries to. And Serena said all along, these aren't the Leafs. I'm sorry, Leaf fans, but she goes, this is Boston. They got pride. They're not going to roll over. This was never. Sorry. I'm sorry. I got to say it the way that it is. They got pride. That B really means something to those guys, and they weren't going to lay down. So it's not a Florida fan thing. It's a fan thing. So why can't we finish out a dude? It ain't. You got 2 more cracks at it now. Game 6 and Game 7. I still think that they will, but this is a slobber knocker, man. And there was all this going. Patrick Maroon's like, he won't fight me. He won't fight me. Sam Bennett. The Panthers didn't even care about that. They're looking not past the Bruins, but they're not going to get mired in that stupid stuff. And I tell you what, Elliot Friedman quoted an anonymous source this morning on NHL radio with this. He goes, somebody said to Elliot, blame the Tampa Bay Lightning because they beat up on Florida 3 years ago, and the Panthers said, we need to be a tougher team. Whoever told Elliot Friedman that couldn't have been more right. And if I've had a front row seat of it, I'll say it here. Remember the Panthers, they won the President's Trophy. They got swept in round 2 by Tampa. And remember that story that they had players out in the strip club the night before Game 3 or 4 in Tampa? Do you remember that? I do, and I'm pretty damn sure Bill Zito did too. There were a bunch of snot-nosed kids, and I said the Tampa Bay Lightning came in here and cleaned their clocks with a bunch of gray beards. And Florida said, they've grown up, and they're now bullying teams. And I'm not going to get into here the goaltender interference call that stood for Boston because they're all upset. I don't want to get into that because I hate the officiating talk. But do you feel the pulp of the fever? I'll use another word. Do you feel the fever coming off this series here?
Of course. Absolutely. You start to feel a little bit more. And, from Boston's perspective, I can kind of see the message going into that game last night being they came in here last year and erased this lead, a 3-1. We're in the same position. We're just on the other side. Let's do to them what they did to us last year, and let's repay the favor.
Yeah.
You talked about pride. That's exactly what it is. They came out and played a really good hockey game. And yes, the goal is what it is, but there was one the other night, one this night. One went Florida's way, one went Boston's way. So it's kind of a wash overall. Boston's here to play. Now, can they extend the series to 7? I don't know. But I still would like, you still like the position the Panthers are in.
Sure. Sprinkling in a few viewer comments as we go. Jenna from Southern California says, good morning. Very much enjoying the Stanley Cup playoffs. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, yes, Rod, it's true. The Bruins have a winning legacy that they're proud of. And they do. And I want to get into Boston people in a second. But producer Clark's dad, Rod, writes in. He says, good morning, Rod and Darren. Big shout out to Moose Jaw Warriors for making the city and province proud, playing well with contributions from top to bottom.
Hi,
We're getting to that. But here's the thing about Boston. They're loud. They're belligerent. They're pretty rude. They drink too much. But they do have an unbelievable amount of pride in their teams, the Bruins, the Celtics, the Patriots. You can see the Red Sox. You can see it just from watching on television, right? And Johnny O is going to represent them all on our Cats and Bolts podcast today. It's a regional thing because you got New Yorkers, and that's a different thing. Here in Florida, manifestation. Everybody's happy. You don't see this hatred going back and forth between the Lightning and the Panthers. And I equate it to Canada. We have a regional thing there. We have the prairie people, tough, farmers, blue collar. There's that. BC is, again, granola-eating, tree-hugging hippies. That's cool, too. That's their thing. That's BC. The Rocky Mountains are like a vortex, and BC is its own. I kind of had a problem with Quebec people saying, Quebec is a distinct society. Yes, you are. But so are Torontonians, so are prairie people, so are BC people, and the Maritimers are the fishermen, but they're like farmers, blue collar, honest, put in a hard day's work, you know? So all regions have their thing, and I think it's damn cool. It's not just a U.S. thing, but for the sake of Boston, they're rude, drunk, and belligerent, and that ain't changing. Randy from Winnipeg writes in and says, good morning. Good NHL games last night. Enjoying the TSN coverage of the junior hockey playoffs. Well, yeah. I got it lined up in my sports update here that the Moose Jaw Warriors can complete a sweep of the Western League final tonight if they win at home over Portland. And this is what I actually think. I don't know anything about the Winterhawks other than their coaches, Mike Johnson and them, and they do a great job. I don't know a lot of their players. But if you were sitting there and you're Portland, if we win tonight, we still got to stay here for Game 5, which isn't until like Friday. How hard you going to try? And I'm just so you know, this is teenage boys. It's not the way I think, but it's the way they think. Not that there's anything wrong with Moose Jaw. Maybe they're staying at the Mineral Spa. Maybe they're eating at the Mad Greek Cafe and Deja Vu wings every day. It's amazing. But it's like, do we really want to stay around? Because it's not like we're going home for Game 6. You know what I mean? Or Game 5,
I know what you mean. It's tough. Like, you know, the Game 3 loss last night, that's a demoralizing one, you know, for Portland. They've been playing pretty well. And then that game, and I believe, you know, in overtime, and, you know, you're that close to being 2-1. Instead, it's 3-0. That's a backbreaker. I agree. But I think they come up playing, and, you know, it's been a good series, you know, for Moose Jaw. But it'll be interesting to see. What a great job that city's done. And Mark O'Leary, hats off to him, the coach.
Unreal, all of them. But Brian in Hudson's Bay writes it. He says, I watched Moose Jaw in Portland, didn't even tune in to the Oiler game. People keep talking about home ice advantage. It means nothing, boys. I said that going into the series, quoting John Paddock. It's still 200 by 85 no matter where you are. So don't get sucked into the home ice thing or thinking that it'll be easy because you're at home. Twisted Mike writes in. He says, kudos to Chris Knobloch. He's one smart cookie. He's from my family's stomping grounds of Imperial Sask. Well, that reminds me, by the way, when I said, I thought they were joking when they said Pickard was going to start for the Oilers. Nobody knows their goalies better than the Edmonton Oilers. So if they thought that it was Pickard's turn and that he could do it, they wouldn't have put him in if they didn't think he could do it. And he did it. That's the one thing people need to understand, and Tim Peel kind of alluded to it yesterday. We sit around here as analysts offering our opinion, but if you listen to us, you're a sucker. Nobody knows more than the coaches. And I'm infinitely enjoying the cat and mouse game between Paul Maurice and Jim Montgomery and the messages they're putting out there in the media. And Don Sweeney, same thing. I mean, listen, we got a break, and I told you we got CFL talk coming up. I didn't plan to get into the juniors much here right now, but that's clearly what people want to talk about. So that's cool. I'm into that too. But the booze-stained, cigarette-smelling reporters, that was a wonderful era, and they don't really exist anymore. But that doesn't mean there's not reporters anymore, or coaches are trying to find a way to get their message out. They used to really use those guys like the Terry Joneses of the world. Sorry, Jonesy, but you know you're one of them. Stinking like brandy and cheap cigarettes. Yeah, well, that's truth hurts. We'll be right back. Matthew Barnaby on the way, And Arash, Madani, too. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Okay, it's live daytime sports talk, and here is your daily reminder to sign up for Landmark Extras for free and get more of what you love. Free movies, concession items, invites to exclusive screenings, cool events. It's a rewards program. More movies you go to, you get the points, and then you get free stuff. That's how it works. LandmarkCinemas.com is where to go for information or details. There's 3 programs to choose from. Please bring Moose in. Moose and I both belong to it. I wouldn't ask you to do it if I don't do it, and we love it. Moose, we got some really good stuff here. Let me just rip through a couple of points, and then we'll just settle in on what everybody else wants to talk about. Point 2, defensive lineman Sean Lemon has appealed his sports gambling suspension and is back with the Montreal Alouettes. According to a league source, Lemon filed his appeal Monday night and was on the field practicing Tuesday at the CFL team's training camp. The CFL indefinitely suspended Lemon on April 24th for betting on league games, including one the league says he played in. The commissioner issued a statement last night, and he sounds really pissed off. And I see people on social media saying, I thought he retired just before this came. I'm like, I don't get it either, but I don't have time for it. Point 3, not today. Caitlin Clark, maybe on Football Friday. I'm kind of getting into the WNBA. Don't judge me. The Caitlin Clark era in the WNBA has begun, but it got off to a bit of a slow start last night. She went scoreless for nearly the first 15 minutes before getting more comfortable and finishing with 20 points in the Indiana Fever's 92-71 loss to the Connecticut Sun. It was on, it was in front of me, and they did a fantastic job of the game presentation on ESPN or whatever channel it was on. I'm like, I'm getting into this. Hell has frozen over. Rod loves women's pro basketball. It's the most I've ever watched. And point 4, the Toronto Blue Jays game against the Orioles in Baltimore was postponed because of rain. Game was called about an hour before the scheduled start time. They're going to make it up as part of a July 29th doubleheader in Baltimore. Now, before you jump in, and I'm sorry to hog all the time here, but Mandy in Edmonton writes in and she says, someone's going to make a cologne that smells like smoke and booze and call it Coach. Well, no, they were referring to the reporters because they're the ones that were out smoking and drinking all night. At least they used to be. Not the coaches because they're too busy. And I want to say something here. One of my mentors in the sober coach industry, the guy that got me started in it, is a guy by the name of David Ogilvy from Montreal, and he is cooler than the other side of the pillow, man. Like sharper than the edge of town. And we talked about the need for sober coaches and recovery coaches in sports, but specifically hockey, which is what I work in, and that's with Nutrition. Got all the plays yesterday on the show. To the degree that, Darren, you saw, somebody wrote into our show and said, I'm struggling and I'm embarrassed and disgusted with myself. Where do I start? And that was not, I'm getting a tear in my eye. That wasn't the plan for me to get up on my soapbox and talk about what Nichushkin's dealing with, but that was pretty nice. And what Ogilvy said to me as we were sitting around having a coffee in Montreal on Peel Street, Ogilvy goes, yeah, they go to the coach. 9 times out of 10, he's an alcoholic too. What's he going to say to the player? Now, that was a long time ago. We're not pointing the finger at anybody, but the point is maybe bring in a professional that's been through it instead of putting this on a coach who's not a trained therapist or a sober coach. You know what I mean? It's always on the coach or like the teacher in the classroom. They're not trained to deal with this stuff. So anyways, that's it. Thoughts before we... Yeah, thoughts on any of this?
Yeah, they're not trained on it. And, you kind of, read people a little bit and you learn about people. And even when we posted the clip on social media, the number of comments that come back with people saying, it's not a disease, it's a choice. You make a choice to drink or not to drink. You make a choice to do drugs or not to do drugs. And I think they genuinely think that and believe that. And I'm not one to argue because I'm not trained in it and don't deal with addiction. But it just tells me that the number of people that don't know if you're not familiar with it. And I would lump coaches into that. I don't say coaches are ignorant, but when it's not your area, you need to bring people in. That's why you have mental health coaches, goaltending coaches, shooting coaches, goalie coaches, all the rest, and power skating coaches. And this is a tool that these players are starting to, that they need. And I think there's a void there.
Well, again, I don't want to spend any more on this, but I think it is important because it is saving lives. It's a choice to drink. Did you try drinking? I know you did, Darren, because I've seen you. I won't ask you about drugs, but it's like 95% of kids will start drinking, if not more. Over 80% of teenagers will try drugs. Honestly, I never did. And if I had, I wouldn't be sitting here today. I'd have died. But everybody tries it. And from the very second time I drank to black out because I loved it. I hated who I was sober. It went on for 25 years. This is what I say. This is what people don't understand. And the farm, rural people will get this. You don't even have to be from the farm to understand. Alcoholism addictions like this. Driving into a muddy field in the middle of the night. You don't know that it's muddy because it's night. And all of a sudden, you're in the middle of the field. Sun comes up and you try and get out. Whoa, I'm stuck. You're out in the middle of it before you realize where you are. Do you know what I mean? And the guys like us are the tow trucks. Just call the tow truck. We'll help pull you out. But you're into it before you realize you're into it. And then what? Does that make sense?
Tons. It makes a lot of sense. Like that's, and you can tell me, we don't need to get further into it, but, you know, sure, it may be a choice to have the drink or not have the drink, but you have a disease of alcoholism. You can't, it's that ability to control yourself. It applies to gambling, to drugs, to whatever your thing is. And yeah, I think you explained it really well. That makes sense.
Well, thank you. That's what I do. Thanks for that. Oh, hey, the Edmonton-Vancouver series. I get such a bang out of this, by the way. Nobody really gets into these all-Canadian series in sports other than Canadian hockey fans. And by the way, I'm here for it. I think it's as sexy as ever. The only other series that people really care about are like Subway series in New York, right? Yankees versus Mets, if it were to be in a World Series or Rangers, Islanders or something in a playoff series. But it's a really special thing in Canada when the Canucks and Oilers, when two Canadian teams get together. Wayne in BC writes in, he's been writing on YouTube and the text line, which is fine. He's a P1. You got to take care of your priority customers. He says, hey, Rod, I have to be honest and say I didn't really think the Canucks would go deep in the playoffs this year. They surprised me, and I like it. None of us thought they were going to go far in the playoffs. And by the way, it's only round 2. You haven't won anything yet. They understand that up in Edmonton. I wonder in Vancouver if they do. But number 2, I'm not an odds maker. I'm not a bettor. It's not my thing. But I would guess if you're picking or trying to pick winners, you would look at history. In life, they say history is the best predictor of the future. History is the best predictor of the future. Until it's not. Until the Vancouver Canucks go and win the Stanley Cup. All I'm saying is it's a guideline. The Canucks have not done anything since 1994, so why would we think, 2011, so why would we think they'd do something now? That's still 13 years ago. Why would we think? They haven't been knocking on the door like the Oilers have been the last few years. So to be honest, that's why I deep down probably think Edmonton will win. Like, who literally does want it more? But 2-2, now a best of 3 with 2 games being in Vancouver. It's a tough call. It's a tough call who's going to win. Both teams playing their backup goalies? What the hell's going on?
It is. It's wild. And it's such a fun chess match to watch, with Rick talking and what he's done to try and ignite some of his stars. He's made some lineup changes, and he's alluded to another one coming next game. He talks about 5 or 6 passengers, including Elias Pedersen, still going with his third-string goalie over Casey DeSmith. We don't know where Thatcher Demko is. And then you look at Chris Knobloch on the other side, decided to go with Chet Pickard or with Pickard, and then he flips Draisaitl and McDavid onto separate lines. All these things to have another 1-goal game. Like, that's how fine the line is here between wins and losses as they make their moves. It's entertaining.
I didn't spend nearly as much time talking about Jersey Jim on this show, but he's watching right now on Game Plus television in New Jersey. Jersey Jim and I went for supper, and we went... Can I use a line from the movie Hall Pass? We went to a place that's got ass on tap. Yeah, what's that? Chili's.
How about that?
That's where we went. Remember that?
Yeah.
They got kicked out of Applebee's. So they wanted to go somewhere that had it on tap, and they said, I know a place, Chili's. Anyways, Jersey Jim's watching in New Jersey right now, and he says, I agree with what Elliot Friedman said this morning as well. Florida took the mantle from Tampa. But go back. L.A. started beating up teams in 2012, 2014. Boston did it in 2011. Tampa and St. Louis did it as well. Physicality matters in the playoffs. And Oh, I can't wait. Matthew Barnaby's coming in next. It's a war now. And you're best to turn your phone off and probably not listen to sports radio or sports talk. That doesn't serve well for what we do here. But if you can't accept that goaltender or interference calls are going to go either way because it's judgment now and always really has been, because this talk is going to get worse over the next 6 weeks. The officiating and the bullying, because that's what the playoffs are all about. It's here.
I know. And the officiating is going to get worse. The fine line on the physicality front, you know, for players bullying teams and teams bullying other teams and winning. And you're right, it definitely matters. But it's a fine line for GMs and coaches, because that really heavy style of play in today's game doesn't necessarily translate over an 82-game season where they call more penalties. There's 5-6 power plays per team on a nightly basis. And when you play physical, more things get called. But when it tightens up in the playoffs and gets more intense, that physicality can really take you a long ways. And we're seeing it with these teams. So how do you balance that? Because you still need to get into the playoffs and win over 82 games too. It's hats off to what they've done in Florida, because they've shown an ability to play both ways.
Yeah, but they win when they're bullying, when they're doing the pushing around. And to clarify, I said the intent, we're going to hear more about bad officiating. I didn't say the officiating is going to get worse, because that's what you quoted me. I don't think the officiating has been bad at all. Has there been mistakes? Yes, but I blame the situation room, not the guys on the ice. There is a difference. And if you don't understand the difference, I don't think we can be friends. Barney's in next. See you in hour 2, Moose.
You betcha.
We are live on the Game Plus television network, which airs in Barney's Rumpus Room daily. Also, WQEE Radio in Atlanta, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
The race for the Cantera Seed Cup continues on Flow Hockey TV. The SJHL playoffs are on.
60 minutes, and who wants it more?
Follow the race for the Cantera Seeds Cup on Flow Hockey TV. The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Just ripping a couple of viewer comments. Jeff in Yorkton says, what a finish to last night's game. Did not expect the Oilers to pull that out at the last second. Frustrating to see the Canuck goals on bounces, but that's why you throw it at the net. Ryan in Saratoga, New York says, a wise man once said the most predictable thing about the future is it's unpredictable. Jen from the Four Seasons says, where did it go? I believe Pickard has a winning record as our backup. Not sure, though. Okay, let's bring in Matthew Barnaby because let's be honest. We've all been waiting to hear what he has to say. How you doing, Barney?
I'm good, buddy. How are you? Just finished 18 holes, and I played like crap, so this is...
Oh, boy. What are we going to do, Clark? Tell him to turn off his Wi-Fi, or I'll let you handle that. Yeah, you're going to have to talk to Barney. Oh, that's too bad, because I want to get Barney's take on a lot of things. Goaltender interference, which, by the way, as we're sitting here, and we love the audience participation. I don't think anybody takes more comments from the audience than we do. The Panthers fans, since we're sitting here and I have nothing else to say or talk about, they're like, what is goaltender interference anymore? They're all worked up. And I meant to bring this up with Darren. I can bring it up here with Barney. The game-winning goal last night came on what the Panthers felt was goaltender interference. It went to review, challenged by the Panthers, and the ref said, no goaltender interference. It's a good goal. It's the game winner. They're all upset here. And yet the conspiracy theorist in me voice has gotten a lot quieter than it used to be, but it is still there. And I'm sitting there wondering, was this a response to the Bruins general manager, Don Sweeney, complaining that they're getting hosed on calls? All of a sudden, the biggest call of the game goes their way? So are you telling me that him calling his news conference the other day to say we're getting screwed actually had its desired effect? I didn't think it was supposed to work that way. I don't think you're supposed to reward the whiners, but here we are. Brian in Hudson's Bay, he says, morning, guys. There was no way in hell they were going to overturn that Boston goal last night with the way the Boston people were complaining about the officiating. He said, almost like the league said, okay, here you go. We will give you this one to make up for some of the previous calls. LOL. Well, of course, that's how it looks. And how can we say that it's not? Although they would say, no. We need to preserve the integrity of the game. Yeah, this isn't the conversation I wanted to have today, but this is what really burns my grits. They talk so much about the integrity of the game, yet obvious calls go the other way from what we think is obvious. Where is the integrity when we're sitting there talking about these types of calls in the Stanley Cup playoffs? It's such an oxymoron. Darren in Melfort, Sask writes in, he says, coming from an Oilers fan, the Oilers have been playing with backup goalies all year. Boom. And it's working so far. I got to make a list of the most annoying topics in the NHL. And Edmonton goaltending is one of them. Stuart Skinner is a finalist for the Calder Trophy last season, Rookie of the Year, plays all year, and you don't really have a problem with him, or certainly not since you made the coaching change on November 12th. But now he sucks in the playoffs, and we've got amateur goaltending. Okay, gotcha. It's just so predictable and so tiring and exhausting. Pick a side. Why I said that we would do a junior hockey update, so let's do it while we await Barney. Braden Sherman's goal at 2:20 of overtime lifted the Moose Jaw Warriors to a 4-3 win over the visiting Portland Winterhawks Tuesday in Game 3 of the Western Hockey League Championship Final. With the win, the Warriors now lead 3-0 and only need one more win to secure a berth in the 2024 Memorial Cup. Do you know where it is? Quick. Saginaw, Michigan. And the Warriors can complete the sweep tonight. At the Centennial Cup in Oakville, Ontario, your Tuesday score, the Melfort Mustangs beat Sioux Lookout 6-3. Calgary beat Navon 4-3. And Miramichi beat Winkler 3-2. I know this is another language to a lot of you, but it's not to those of us hockey enthusiasts. And today's the final day of the round robin. It's Sudbury versus Longueuil. It's a Sudbury Wednesday afternoon. Collingwood versus Navon. And Melfort versus Oakville. And then Thursday's off. And then the playoffs start Friday with the semifinals. It goes fast now. It becomes like March Madness come Friday. But a couple of years ago, we were there at the Centennial Cup. And on that off day Thursday, I hosted the banquet. Oh, my God. Joe Watson, two-time Stanley Cup champion of the Philadelphia Flyers, spoke. And Alan May, because a big-name TSN announcer bailed on us, Alan May was good enough to change his flight and stay. And, oh, my God, we had a big time. The sports update's brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. And for Landmark Cinemas, now playing in Landmark Cinemas, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Director Wes Ball breathes new life into the global epic franchise set several generations in the future, following Caesar's reign, in which apes are the dominant species living harmoniously and humans have been reduced to living in the shadows. How about that? We'll take an early break and hope to get this Barney situation rectified because we got so many things. And if you have questions for Matthew Barnaby, get them in now, 902-518-3033 or the YouTube feed. We'll see how it goes. And I'll answer the CFL fans' questions too because all show they've been writing in, and we'll do it in viewer takeover if we don't get Barney. Here we are live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, your southern home of sports and talk. Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me and Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Okay, here we go. So here's the deal. Matthew Barnaby, producer Clark says will join us next hour. They're just working on getting him to a better spot, la-di-da-di-da. I can answer some of those questions, though. The beautiful Mandy in Edmonton writes in, and she says, Barnaby, tell me about determination and how you made it. Buy his book. Matthew Barnaby Unfiltered. Guy never won a fight in all of never won one fight in junior hockey, but got drafted by the Sabres and went on to a wonderful NHL career. You want to talk about not giving up? Not to mention a tough childhood and all the rest. I should let him tell the story. Nelson writes in, he says, our VP of Sim Events, he says, there's lots of integrity in sports talk lately. Are you talking about sports talk media or in sports? I'm just going to read what he says. Lots of integrity in sports talk lately. Some people suck, and we need to accept there's no integrity in any sport at any level. Deal with those people and carry on. The saying has lost all the weight. The saying has lost all weight. That's probably a me problem, but I don't understand any of what you were saying. Yeah. And when are you guys going to get it? Not even reading your text, Tommy. Kirk in Toronto writes in. Here's a really good example. He says, hi, Rod. Kirk from Toronto. If Chad Kelly says he is innocent, when is the appeal coming? Look, you all want to believe that it's on the up and up. And here's my, you don't understand how it goes. And maybe that's, Tommy, why I'm not interested in having sparring with you today. Nelson just said there's a lot of talk of integrity, but the saying has no weight. So Chad Kelly suspended by the CFL for half a season and preseason games. But when rookie camp starts, he's out on the field. The fit hits the shan. Everybody goes nuts. The general manager, Pinball Clemens, stands in front of the TV cameras and explains the suspension doesn't say he can't be out here. So by rule, he can be out here. 2 more days of a firestorm, Pinball being nailed to the cross, for lack of a better term. And on Sunday, when training camp opens, Chad Kelly's not there. You tell me what changed, okay? And then you got Sean, and I'm just using the CFL as an example. There's a ton of other examples you can use in all leagues in sports. It's not just a CFL thing, but because that's a league that I know quite well. Sean Lemon of the Alouettes. Would we have been surprised when he announced his retirement this late in the winter that he was actually retiring? Been around a long time. He's won 3 Grey Cups. As far as I'm concerned, has a Hall of Fame career. But he retires. A week later, it comes out that he's been suspended indefinitely for gambling, including betting on his own team games once in Calgary. And now he's out on the field with the Alouettes this week because he's appealed that lifetime suspension. My read on this, and this is just me spitballing here right now, which is, by the way, what I do. And by the way, Ryan Thomas, it's an opinion. I don't know why you get so worked up in a lather over when I give my opinion, but it is what it is. I appreciate you watching and listening every day. But I'm guessing if you're Sean Lemon, who's done great things for the CFL, I'm retired, I'm out. Why then does the CFL need to make a big deal out of it a week or 2 later that we're suspending him forever? Why can't you just let him ride off into the sunset with his reputation intact? But no, you need to drag him through the mud. And now you have a fight because he's on the field. And I didn't read or post the commissioner's statement from last night, Randy Ambrosi, how they will vigorously fight their decision in arbitration on this. Again, if you just let Sean Lemon go and nobody would have known, I'm damn sure tell you I wouldn't have known. You caused this fight. The CFL did. But, whoa, the one thing I've realized, whether it be the teams or the league almighty, they're always right. And even when they're wrong, they're right. I've learned it myself firsthand, and now I'm seeing it, and I'm just saying, this is a problem you created. That's all. And then you got your fans across the league, like the beautiful Marcia in BC. She's like, I thought she tweets this last night. I thought he retired. Yeah, didn't we all? Okay? Steven in North Dakota writes in, he says, you can't stave off CFL talk on the RP show. Is the Chad Kelly situation reinforcing the state fair football to CFL views? This is the last thing I'll say on that. We posted a meme the other day where I said, the Chad Kelly thing isn't making me not want to watch the CFL. It's not deterring me from watching the CFL. Some guy wrote in from, I think, Tennessee, and he was like, that's not. But the fact that it's a league full of cast-offs and they play at a field with end zones the size of Walmart parking lots, that makes me not want to watch CFL. Well, again, the world and society has become nothing more than a monkey poop fight at the zoo. Everybody's throwing it at each other, and you can either pit in and throw it or just say, I'm out. Only you can make that choice. And when it comes to the CFL, you know who's responsible for your image and reputation? You. We're all responsible for our reputations, and that's it. And if the CFL's got a bad one, or anybody for that matter, should be fun hour 2. Barney and Arash. Stick around after this brief pause on Game Plus and Key Radio.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
But our poll question today is, how much has officiating affected these Stanley Cup playoffs?
I would say no more than normal. It always it's like death and taxes, Rod. It's the same thing it literally is the same conversation every year. You're not going to keep everybody happy. But I haven't seen any call that's decided a game.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Hour 2 of the RP Show. I hope you're having as much fun as I am, as we are. A few unscheduled things have happened today. That's the fun of live television and radio, right, guys and gals? Let's bring the Moose in. We were supposed to have Matthew Barnaby. He was going to join us from a golf course last hour. The Wi-Fi or cell reception was terrible, so we're going to try and fit him in this hour. We know for a fact Arash Madani is going to be joining us. I'll try to get to as many viewer comments as I can. People are getting a little upset at things that I say. Some people loving the things that I say. That's what happens. It's called the Rod Pedersen Show. I will encourage and remind people, if you don't like what I say, don't watch. But to sit here and stand and pick a fight with things that I say, I'll quote my mom again. You might as well just piss into the wind, because you're not going to have any effect on me. Which reminds me, Moose, we talked about last night's games. The Oilers winning a last-second nail-biter against Vancouver. The series is 2-2, going back to Van for Game 5, and that's our poll question. Who's going to win this series? I haven't even looked at the results. It doesn't matter because nobody knows other than the hockey gods. My guess it's Edmonton's probably slightly favored, and that's based on our demographics of our viewers. 1-2, here the Boston Bruins beat Florida 2-1 to extend the series, sending it back to Boston on Friday for Game 6. And tonight, Colorado was at Dallas. That series is up 3-1. 3-1 Dallas. There's a lot more to get to, but I want your take on this. Again, I don't think you listen to NHL radio, certainly not as much as I do, and that's fine. Just leave it to me, and I'll update everybody what they're saying on there. Elliot Friedman. What made me think about it was Tim Peel. That was his voice, the intro of hour 2 here. Tim Peel saying how the refereeing is no worse than any other year. Elliot Friedman this morning saying that he's hearing and thinking that teams are going to start bringing officials on staff to give them, the ins and outs of the rules. Now, I don't know if that's a good idea or not. He brought up former WHL referee Vaughn Rowdy, who went on to the NHL. He said he consulted with the Winnipeg Jets on how face-offs are called and how to win in the face-off circle and the tricks of the trade. It was just a consultant role. But what would you think about the idea of NHL teams hiring a ref and having him on staff as a rules interpreter? Not that crazy, isn't it?
It's not crazy at all. You need to do as a team whatever you feel will give you an edge. And if you feel that will give you an edge, then absolutely you should do it. Understanding what the referees are thinking, even to come in once a year and consult on a basis of this is what they're thinking. This is what happens when they dive. Understand when you dive and draw a penalty, the officials go and watch the tape and they see that you dove. They look at the video film of all their calls to see if they got it right or didn't get it right. And when they see somebody dive, the next time that player is in a similar, altercation, they might not be so quick to call a penalty because they don't want him to make them look stupid. So he might not get the call the next time, even if it is a real penalty. So yeah, like anytime you can get more information, I think that's a good thing.
Well, and the interesting thing here, too, later on today, in a couple of hours, Serena and I will be recording the Cats and Bolts podcast where we talk Florida, Tampa Bay NHL hockey. And Johnny O's coming in. He's our guest this week, Boston guy. He's been trying to get on the show, and I'm like, well, perfect time now. Your Bruins are playing the Panthers. When Boston won this series, game 1 of this series 5-1, I had predicted the Panthers to win the series in 6. Johnny writes me, and he goes, it's not too late to change your pick, bud. And I said, you can't get in here. You can't get in here. You used to be able to get in here. This was open for rent. It was over-occupied by people, places, and things. Not after all I've been through and all that. You're not getting in here, Johnny. Nobody's getting in here. Locked up, threw the key away. Darren, you have to understand what a character this man is. And for everybody that needs to know, Serena worked for him briefly. He owns Johnny O's Gymnasium. If you just think the Florida fitness guy, what you would think he looks like, it's Johnny O, except he's originally from Boston. He's got huge muscles. He's 64, ripped, and he looks like he's right off a point. Drives around on his phone in his convertible. Just great-looking guy. Johnny O is going to be on today, and I'm pretty sure it's hopefully not going to come to blows between me and him. But anyways, back to the officiating. Okay, I said earlier, here's a fun one for you. Darren, I said top 5 most annoying topics in the NHL. Oilers goaltending. That's one. In no particular order. What's another annoying NHL discussion?
Is the top free agent going to sign with the Toronto Maple Leafs?
2.
How about that?
Officiating. 3. It's just annoying because we're not getting anywhere. 3. What others?
Oh boy.
I would have said relocation to the Coyotes. I would have said relocation to the Coyotes, but it happened. So that's out.
Yeah.
I want to tie in a Flames thing here, but I don't want to. Well, the Winnipeg Jets ever win a Stanley Cup, but that's not really annoying. I do have time for that. But just on the officiating thing, were you watching the Boston-Florida game last night?
A little bit of it, yeah. I was.
Okay, well, the game-winning goal was disputed for Boston. Yep. And the Panthers challenged goaltender interference. Upon review, they deemed there was no goaltender interference. Goal stands, Bruins win. Do you think that video call review in the Situation Room had anything to do with the general manager, Don Sweeney, crying to the media on Tuesday that they're getting hosed. What do you think?
Probably, at the end of the day, probably not. But I can't say for sure that it wasn't in the back of people's minds. You know, when people, this is human nature. When people whine and try and get their way, it doesn't actually make you want to do them favors. It makes you actually lean in and do the opposite. Subconsciously, people do that. You whine about about this and about that. It actually makes me more likely to call the next thing against you than it is to call the thing for you. And vice versa, if you handle the situation with respect and say, hey, I think this was a penalty and you missed it, and you're very respectful, it does make them maybe want to do favors for you down the road. This is all subconscious stuff. Good behavior usually leads to good outcomes, and a good attitude leads to good outcomes. A bad behavior and a bad attitude usually leads to bad outcomes. So maybe there's something to that. I can't say for sure.
Yeah, well, there's always the exception that proves the rule. In that clip from Tim Peel that we aired going into this hour, Tim Peel said, I don't know of any calls that decided games in these Stanley Cup playoffs, except for Sam Bennett's goalie interference call in Game 4. There's always the one. You know, so don't say it hasn't, because you just said there is one. And I love Tim Peel. I've never met him, but I can just tell he's my kind of guy, which furthermore, I don't like this. Florida's good enough and tough enough that they don't need to dive. They sure as hell don't need to whine. But last night, Anton Lundell got called for a dive. And I feel like there might have been another embellishment penalty later in the game, but I can't really remember. You understand, when you watch 6 to 9 hours of hockey every night, it all kind of does run together. But I don't like that. But it reminded me of the 90s and the Swift Current Broncos, and Todd McClellan's teams dove. And I felt that they were guilty of a lot of other nefarious things that I won't get into because I can't prove any of it. But they were notorious for diving. But they got away with it, and they won. So it's where sports mirrors life. I'm older than you. That's been established by 16 years. One day, hope you're watching, and we talked about this earlier today. It took me a long time to get over this. How come the bad people are getting ahead? I can see it real clearly. This is just in sports and the media too. They're doing bad things and they're getting ahead. That shouldn't be right. It makes you want to do bad things to get ahead, right? That's not right. But at this age, diving is that, right? They're diving and they're getting the calls and they're winning. It's not right. And the proper way to look at it is don't worry about what they're doing. What feels right to you? And that's how I live my life. And it's way better. So whining like Jim Montgomery, he's literally doing this on the bench last night. There's gifs out there about it now of Montgomery from life. They're diving. I don't like that. And I'm not a dyed-in-the-wool Florida Panthers fan. I'm not. I'm not a dyed-in-the-wool fan of anybody in the NHL. I am not. So I'll just say, I don't like the diving. It's very unbecoming. What do you think?
You nailed it. I hate the diving too. I hate it. 111, by the way, just flipped over. 111. But
how about that?
Diving.
Manifest a positive outcome.
But at the same time, power plays are hard to come by. And, you know, the power play can be the difference between a win and a loss. And the wins are hard to get. And you need them so badly. So diving is horrible. But if it works and it gets you a goal, a power play, and it leads to a game-winning goal, people in the organization might ask, is it worth it? At the end of the day, it should all balance out. The karma will come back around and all the rest. I don't love it, but I understand at least why guys will do it, because if they can get a power play, those are like gold. Those are like gold.
Oh, dude. Are you reading my diary? Have you had my phone tap? Because this is the problem. There, by the way, as we sit here, this is The View for sports fans. If you've just tuned in, that's what we do here every day, noon to 2 on Game Plus TV and Key Radio. I know for a fact he doesn't mind me saying this, dropping his name. Perry Shockey is one of those hockey guys that I refer to, one of the godfathers. And when he dies, guaranteed he will be a hockey god. Shocks will be a hockey god. He'll be one of the guys sitting upstairs in the arena in the sky deciding how games go. So the point is, he's a big believer in karma. I'm a huge believer in karma. But how fast does it take for the wheel to come around? Are we waiting till next game, next series, next year, next job? Because what Shock said about that, as a guy who's been railroaded with the best of them, and trust me, if you're around long enough in this business, we all have. If I say that to Shocks, yeah, but it's karma. They'll get theirs. And Shocks goes, yeah, but what about the carnage and devastation while we're waiting for karma to come around? I don't quite have an answer for that one. Don't have an answer for that one. Just try to stop questioning it. It might go faster. Regarding annoying NHL topics, what have we said? Oilers goaltending, Leafs free agents, officiating.
Yeah,
James in Calgary writes, James in Calgary. But that was annoying until it happened.
It's over now. Yeah.
That goes off the list. James in Calgary says, annoying topics. Just to hear RP rant. Canucks getting their due. LOL. What is their due? What's annoying is that. Yeah, okay, you got me. You got me. But to be honest, and Vancouver fans won't want to hear this, it's not that annoying. I feel bad for them. And you know what I'm talking about because you see their mentions and what their Canucks fans are saying on social media. That's a damaged lot. To have never won a Stanley Cup, I don't know what that feels like, brah. For the team that you cheer for, that's got to be horrible. Jets fans similar, but Jets fans aren't outwardly angry about it. You know what I mean? Canucks fans, they cause damage.
I know.
But that's fun, isn't it? And annoying topics.
That's the annoying. They want their credit. They want their due, right? For being in first place. They want some credit. They want it. Well, we're just as good as Edmonton. We finished higher than them in the regular season. You got home ice advantage and nobody's picking you to win. Yeah, Vancouver's always the underdog until they're not. And you sometimes just have to accept the position that you're in.
I appreciate my guy Ryan Thomas had a very mature response to mine. He doesn't like that I said the Portland Winterhawks might fold it up going into Game 4 tonight against Moose Jaw. And for those that missed, I just said Game 5's in Moose Jaw 2. It's a 2-3-2 format, and they're only in Game 4. So my thing is, if you're Tommy's written in and says, bizarre comment, Roddy. He says, there's no doubt. I furthermore said, they're subconsciously thinking, even if we win Game 4, we still got to hang around, 3 more days for Game 5. Why put in the effort? And Ryan's subconsciously, they're not consciously saying that. Tommy says, there's no doubt that those 20 kids on the Winterhawks want to win Game 4 more than anything they've ever wanted in their lives. Winning championships is the hardest thing in the world, and many never get this close. I'll allow it. That's a very mature counterpoint from Tommy. And as a guy who's played in championships in the Memorial Cup, and I was there with him on the same team. So I don't know. Who do you think wins tonight? Moose Jaw or Portland? Game 4. The Warriors win, it's a sweep. I think Moose Jaw is going to sweep it.
Yeah, I think Portland will win. Just for, Brian talks about it. Great comment. And I think, pride, and they're a good hockey team. So I think they'll extend it by a game.
What's up with Barney? Do we have him? That's a no, dog. As for now, that's a no. Mandy really can't. Mandy, your infatuation with Matthew Barnaby is borderline questionable. Jeff in the zone writes in and says, Moose Jaw wins, I say. Yeah, you and me both, Jeff. Darren's a Portland fan. But you know what? They don't like Darren and Moose Jaw, so he's okay with that. We'll be right back here on the Game. Don't worry, they don't like me either. We'll be back on the Game Plus Television Network, Key Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the RP Show. What we do here is try to entertain you on a daily basis, and dag nabbit, I think we do. Let's bring the moose in. It's not just your regular, strikes and spares, what we do here. Pardon me. Can you hear the siren? If you can't yet, you will. The music's rolling, I know, so yeah. There's always something going on in Boca Raton, Florida. So jump in when you still can't hear it, because it's very loud to me.
I think I heard it once.
Okay, cool. So, listen, we owns the 55-plus age demographic across Canada on television daily. And this is going to resonate with a lot of our viewers, Darren, when I read you this. And we'll get back on track in a second. But there's no Matthew Barnaby here. I don't think we're going to get him today. Next segment's Arash Madani, and that's cool. I told you that we're going to try to get Jim Lang on the air. Okay? Can I give you I got to read his Wikipedia because it's short. He's got a Wikipedia, okay? He's in his 80s. And his son, Judd, is one of my oldest, closest friends. And I'm going to trash Judd in a second. But I Googled Jim Lang, and it's L-A-I-N-G, because we have Jim Lang, the NFL guy, on here regularly. Not the same guy. Are you ready, Darren, for the Wikipedia? And then a couple cool stories? I Googled Jim Lang, and it came up, and I know how to spell it, L-A-I-N-G. It came up as Canadian sport, more on Canadian sportscaster Jim Lang. I'm like, no, he's got a Wikipedia page? He's old. James T. Lang, and this is why you should care, Darren, and everybody else. James T. Lang is a Canadian sportscaster and radio station owner who spent the 1966-67 NHL season as the radio play-by-play voice for the Boston Bruins. Now listen up, a native of Weyburn. Lang's career began in 1962 calling junior hockey games in Saskatchewan while calling games for the Estevan Bruins. Boston Bruins president Weston Adams heard Lang's play-by-play while on scouting trips. Adams was very impressed with Lang's impartiality, especially in games between Estevan and their rival Weyburn Red Wings. According to Boston Bruins announcer Freddie Cusick, Lang was a dead ringer in voice and inflection for Foster Hewitt, Canada's legendary hockey announcer. As far as I'm concerned, he was better than Foster Hewitt. He was hired by Adams in 1966 to call Bruins games on radio. Lang was 23 years old at the time of his hiring. It gets better. During his tenure in Boston, he was praised by Boston Globe sports writer Harold Case for being objective and accurate. Lang was fired after only one season because Bruins management believed that he tended to lean on the negative. He was replaced by Bob Wilson the following season. Now, I wasn't even born yet. This is kind of where it gets into where I know him. On July 24th, 1972, his father, Tom Lang, purchased shares in Sioux Line Broadcasting Limited, owners of CFSL in Weyburn and its satellite station CJSL in Estevan. Jim Lang gained controlling interest in the station 2 years later. In addition to owning it, he was also the station manager. That's where I knew I worked for him. He sold Sioux Line Broadcasting to Golden West Broadcasting in 1995. Boom. And there's a lot of other personal things in here that I know that don't get on a Wikipedia page, but as if that wasn't enough. One season with the Bruins and they fired him because he was not a big enough of a homer. So now you know.
But they hired him for impartiality.
Right. What a juxtaposition. Jim Lang.
Wow.
And just so you know, he was my first boss in the business. And I was roaming around that radio station, well, literally in high school. That's where I started, wearing sweatpants, Zubaz sweats, because it was the 80s, and hockey jerseys. That was my preferred wardrobe, believe it or not. And Jim was in a suit and tie every damn day in Weyburn, in downtown Weyburn, suit and tie. Jim Lang. That's him. And it's his dad, Tom, is the ghost of the radio station that I also saw. So, anyways, how about that?
That's cool.
Utah Darren says, they're coming for you, Rod. Hey, if they haven't got me yet, they're not going to. Jay in Winnipeg says, your shirt is high entertaining, Rod. Let me just say this before we get back on track, if that's in any way, shape, or form where we were. This is kind of like the Morty Seinfeld, and you like the clip. Hey? You think you're going to keep us out of Florida? This is George Costanza. This is what Seinfeld's dad would wear a shirt like this, and I realized it. For fat guys like me, you can sweat and nobody would know. Like, I am sweating like a pig in church right now, and you wouldn't even know. because I might have to change this before Cats and Bolt. It's so hot. John Ohm. We got to stop this. It's getting far, far, far too much about me. John Ohm says, Rod, you got no Wikipedia. What the heck, bro? I don't know. I can't get a Wikipedia. I've had my people on it, Jeff Armstead, trying like a darn for years. I can't get a Wikipedia page. I'm not that big of a deal, is what the summation of that would be. Wayne in BC says, what a great story, Rod. I learned something every day on the RP show. Jim Lang, fired after one season at the age of 23. That would cripple you, I would think, emotionally. And I've been going back and forth with Jim. He's not going to come on tomorrow. We had him on tomorrow, or I thought, but it's not going to, probably next week. Dave Babbage is going to come in, Vancouver Canucks great, to talk about that. So I'm looking forward to talking to Jim, who, by the way, always refers to me as the rookie. And this is the story that I wanted to tell you. God, thank God I brought it around to this. When people wonder, one of the Sutters said to me once, they said, I don't know how you know hockey so well, because you never played in the NHL. You never played at a high level. And what they don't understand is you don't have to necessarily play at a high level. The game is the game. And Jim's son, Judd, he and I were the two goalies on the senior Milestone Flyers. Hockey's hockey, Darren, just like NFL, CFL, not Arena League, but you know what I mean. Football's football, hockey's hockey. And I remember one game, provincial finals, the barn's packed, the Diesel Dome, and Judd's starting, and I'm the backup. Great call, Ray Beck. But anyways, we're standing there in the crease at the start of the game. Guys are whipping around, and I'm standing in the crease, towel around my neck, Judd's ready to go. And Judd looks at me and goes, I bet you wish you were starting this game. If I didn't love him so much, I would have strangled him. I was like, you son of a... Of course I want to start. It's my town, my team. I couldn't believe he'd say it. But we went on to work. I still talk to him all the time. He was just down here in Florida, and we couldn't hook up. But can you imagine saying it? But that's the relationship between goalies. I supported him because he's my guy. That's my team. The coach said it was the best thing to do. Of course it sucks. You ever been in a situation like that?
Yeah. Well, everybody has, you know. And it just look over and be like, yeah, I bet you wish you were doing this, you know. And he probably said it, you know, meaning well. But just kind of another thing like, oh, yeah, right. I'm going to sit here all game and not get to be part of this. You know, I'll work the door. Thank you very much. You know, kind of pushes you down. I'm sure he didn't mean it that way.
Who knows what he meant? But I will say this. What the hell? Why not? We're like literally off-roading like crazy. The other day I pulled up for a coffee at a place called the Goat Cafe. The gal looked outside of my vehicle. She goes, do you ever go off-roading in that Jeep? I'm like, no, but only because I don't know where to go. She goes, my husband and I run a Jeep club. If you're interested, come join us. So that happened. But furthermore, with the Cats and Bolts podcast that Serena and I host, it's growing and growing and growing. I run all the social media on it, but when I post stuff, people think it's Serena. So they're writing and they all think it's her. She's getting all these invitations to go on all these shows, these sports betting shows down here, Canadian shows. And initially for me, this is like me and Judd Lang, but now it's me and Serena. She didn't rub it in my face, but I'm like, I'm here now to perform a supporting role. For a very long time, I've been the starter, but I've been relegated to the backup again. How you going to deal with it? You know what I mean? I'm just a supporting guy. I do the social media. I line up the guests. I field the questions. I interact with the fans, but she's the star. How do you like that? That's where we're at.
You're Jonathan Quick.
Took me a second or two. I'm Jonathan Quick. And that ain't too bad either. Could still win a ring. Still win a ring. And the show's going great guns. Colorado, I was remiss. I think I said Florida was going to win last night, and they didn't. And I said Vancouver was going to win, so I was 0 for 2. Boom. How about you?
No, I think I didn't make an official pick on the show, but I think I was, I mean, I can't tell you now, even if I was, you know, I thought Edmonton was going to win the hockey game, you know, but if I say I thought Boston was going to win, I'm going to look like I picked the games after the fact, you know, to go 2-0. So forget about it. I'll make picks for tonight, and we'll go from there.
Well, there's only one game. It's Colorado at Dallas.
Yeah.
And, I mean, listen, I haven't been so hot lately. And here's part of the problem. I've been really into this Florida-Boston series, not paying as much attention to the others. But it's not like I've had a great read on that series, other than if the Panthers win Friday, I will have called it in 6, which is what I said from the outset. But where's Allie from Texarkana today? Is she on the defibrillator? Did she not breathe because her team's... Allie, well, I'm not going to ask her who's going to win. She's going to say Dallas. You go first.
Colorado.
Yeah, but you've been saying that every night.
I have. I'm waiting for it. They're a good enough hockey team. The more desperate they get, the more I think they're going to win to keep this series moving along. So, tonight's got to be the night.
Trevor in Red Deer writes in and says, looks like Calvin Pickard has earned himself another start. I'm hoping in Game 5 the Canucks test him a lot more than they did last night. This is the best series of the 4. I love all the Calgary area, southern Alberta people that are cheering for Vancouver, because that's how much they hate Edmonton. I think it's awesome. I'm here for that. You know what I mean? The rivalries. There's like literally nothing. I was looking up Mandy in Edmonton says, RP, your wife Serena is beautiful. Yes, she is. Wayne in BC says the chat line is fire today, Rod. Well, thank yourselves for that. Got nothing to do with me. And it looks like we're out of time. Arash Madani's in next. Anything else to say for yourself, Moose?
We're great. You have a great, what do you say? You have a great Florida afternoon.
All right, buddy. We'll be right back here on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name's Logan Stanko. And I'm Connor Bedard. We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors. There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life. Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, it is the RP Show. By the way, it's that time of the week. It's time for Wednesdays in the movie twosome deal at Landmark Cinemas, but you don't need to be a famous movie couple to take advantage of it. One price gets you 2 admissions, 2 medium fountain drinks, a large popcorn, and your choice of candy for that one low price. What you do need is a partner to go with you. So check them out. Go to landmarkcinemas.com for showtimes in your area. Well, we don't talk to this guy enough. Let's bring in Sportsnet's Arash Madani. The only problem I have, man, is I don't know where to start. What is in your sports vortex right now with you, my dude?
It's interesting, Roddy. Here we are, May 15th. Just over 2 months from now, I'll be headed to Paris to cover the Summer Olympic Games. And this week here in Toronto, the Olympic swimming trials are going on. And I'm not sure how many Canadians know this, but Summer McIntosh is about to explode into the sports conscience of this country. She's only a teenager, and she is about to become a phenom in the pool. She's going to win multiple gold medals. She may break world records. I say both of those with plurals. And so that's kind of on my work docket coming up right now, and definitely keeping a close eye on the NBA playoffs because I'm headed to the NBA Finals next month as well.
Well, she's been at this for a while. Is she going to be better than Penny Alexiak? Is she better than Penny Alexiak?
I actually think the comp broad is not Penny, and that's no disrespect to, what Penny's done, especially in Rio, exploding onto the scene. I don't think many really saw that Alexiak emergence coming in Rio. The comp here is like Katie Ledecky. McIntosh has the opportunity to become maybe the most prolific women's swimmer of all time. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about what is about to happen here, and the potential of this kid, and what she's capable of.
I love it. All right. You've sold me. Not like I wasn't going to be watching anyways, but I'll be especially watching for that. I've noticed the Blue Jays are in last place. Hearing a lot about that. Do we see this coming or not?
Well, maybe not last place, but this is a team that really couldn't hit all of last year. And then this offseason, what did they really do, Roddy? They replaced Whit Merrifield with Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, and they brought Justin Turner, who was 29 10 years ago. They brought Turner in to when Matt Chapman went out the door. And that's really it. And the whole kind of premise was, well, the players we had in-house have to be better. Now, it's been a disastrous start. There is no doubt about it. This is a team that's been awful at the plate. It's been a team that's bullpen has been right there at the bottom of all of baseball. But what you're starting to now see is Vladimir Guerrero and Bo Bichette. They're slowly starting to heat up. They're slowly starting to get it together. Now, I don't know what they're going to get out of George Springer all year, Rod. I'll be frank with you. But this team goes as Guerrero and Bichette take them. And the fact that they're starting to see the ball well, the fact that they're starting to get hot or warm, let's not overstate it. If you're a Blue Jay fan, that's a good thing. Because after today in Baltimore, and right before they have a day game, I just checked before coming on, it's a 2-1 game in the third inning. They have 13 winnable games, including the dreadful White Sox coming to town. So I'm most intrigued if we revisit in 2 weeks where they are at the end of May rather than the middle of May.
I enjoy the Jays discussion because we're on national television in Canada. Trust me, I get it, but you and I have been doing this a long time, and you always would caution me. It's May, right? Like, is it not still early, or is it too late to say it's early?
Both. That makes any sense. Like, look, Sparky Anderson always said, and I think Jim Leland reiterated it, basically be healthy and be 500 at the end of May, and then you have 100 games to go. I mean, I buy into that. But you need to see a pulse. And I tell you what, man, up until about 5 days ago, there wasn't much of that. You know, they were in the intensive care unit down there in the basement of the division and one of the worst teams in the American League. So I still think the margin for error is razor thin. Like, we still really don't know about Alek Manoah, even though there were some signs that maybe he's turned the corner. But they're in a starting pitching injury or two away from disaster. Now, that said, most teams are in the same boat. But I still think they're going to be okay with expanded playoffs. There's a lot of runway left for this team, but dudes have got to start performing. You know, it's early works until it's not, and we're getting very close to it's not time, but we're not quite there yet.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about what's going on in the CFL here in week 1 of training camps. Your timeline seems pretty quiet, CFL-related stuff, but I know you're following it, so you must have some thoughts.
I'm just, Rod, I'm just amazed at the Toronto Argonauts. I really wonder what their general manager does. Like, what's the job of a general manager in sports? What's the job of a general manager in professional football? Like, I don't think that Pinball Clemens could name how many guys they bring to camp. 70-ish? 65? How many guys on that roster does Pinball really know? Like, I don't know if you saw the fiasco today where the Argos announced that Kelly was moved to the suspended list, and then they quickly backtracked and said, no, he's not on the suspended list. Like, the NCAA would call this entire thing a lack of institutional control. And, when you're the leader of the ship, pardon the pun, when you're atop the flow chart, it continues to start at you. And, Clemens last week said, okay, yeah, it's on me. We got to be better. And then they come out this week and they're not better. And I just wonder, like, what are they doing over there when just, ordinary transactions, and I'm sure they're going to call it a clerical error or something like that, or a miscommunication. But this is your franchise quarterback. This is the league MVP. And last week, the Canadian Football League needed leadership. They needed leadership from the general manager of the Toronto Argonauts, and they needed leadership from the commissioner of the CFL, and they got neither from either of those guys. And, that's if you're a fan of the CFL, if you're a stakeholder, if you're a woman who works in the ecosystem of pro football in this country, how disillusioned, disappointed, hurt, stung do you feel with how that all unfolded last week?
Just a mess, And I've had a few people kind of try to draw me in terms of to use me for their own gain. I'm like, no, I don't want any part of this. I don't want to know. I don't know. You're far more of an investigative journalist than I am. I want to know.
But I want to know.
I don't know who to trust. Right. I don't know who to trust.
The issue, and look, this is the issue. The issue is the league is not providing the 87-page report to the Players Association. A grievance has to be filed. The same league that won't provide financials to the Players Association, even though it's collectively bargained that they're going to have revenue sharing. So why is it that over and over again the league is hiding from its players? You tell me.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I don't want to end it on that. NBA, what's hot? What's exciting? Jamal Murray, your guy? Are you a Nuggets fan or what?
I tell you, if you're following, and I'm always thinking of this through the Olympic lens at this point, and also because I covered the World Cup of basketball last year, Canada's men's basketball team is going to be the most intriguing team to watch in that entire Olympic men's basketball tournament. You look at what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is doing right now in Oklahoma. You look at what Jamal's doing over there in Denver. Nickeil Alexander-Walker coming off the bench, although he started yesterday for Minnesota. And what a defender that he is. This team is going to be legit. And wasn't it something, Rod, when last week after the Joker won MVP again, Shaq came out and said, that belongs to Shaq. That belongs to SGA. I mean, we're talking about a dude who had more than 30 points in 50-plus games this year. He is a megastar in the NBA. And maybe it's because he's in Oklahoma. Maybe because he's a pretty low-key guy. Maybe it's because these playoff games in the West start pretty late in the Eastern time zone. Not a lot of people, and they're not a really sexy team yet. They're about to be. People aren't quite there on SGA, and they're about to find out and real fast on how good this guy is.
I don't know anything, and I could tell that he was the MVP. But don't get me started on voting for these awards. Okay, my dude, always good. See you this summer.
All right, pal.
All right, Sportsnet's Arash Madani checking in from the Big Smoke. We'll be right back with one final viewer takeover and a sports update after this. We are live on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I apologize that I just opened the text line and see some of the questions that have come in for Arash. We'll have to wait until next time. They came in while I was interviewing him. Trevor in Red Deer writes in, he says, another great edition of the Rod Pedersen Show. Have a great day, Rod Squad. See you tomorrow. That's from Trevor in Red Deer. Mandy in Edmonton says, Arash is a critique. Yes, he is, and a darn fine one. BW in Edmonton writes, and he says, I don't watch the Blue Jays. I'd rather watch the Saskatoon Berries or the Sylvan Lake Gulls of the WCBF. Play for the love of the game, not the money. Yeah, I do have what I think is a pretty exciting announcement coming up, baseball related, but I'm waiting for the team to announce it. See what I've learned in my old age? Let them announce it. So that's coming up, hopefully within the next week. And I've said that I'm coming back to Sask for the summer, which reminds me, not like you all need to know my business, but I'm on vacation next week because Monday's a holiday. Wednesday, I'm flying back to Canada. Friday's Lynch's funeral, celebration of life. And then the plan is to stick around for the summer. That's not set in stone per se, but I'll be spending the most of the balance of the summer in Canada. Primarily because I can't deal with the heat. That's the only reason. I'm sitting here, so I'm going to have to change before I go do the Cats and Bolts podcast. I was hoping to wear this shirt I can't. I can wring it out. I know you don't care. I'm just telling you. And as Serena says, it's not even hot yet. You have no idea how hot it is. My neighbor over here, Gail, that's his name. He's from France. He goes, oh, I hate the heat. You are lucky you're going to Canada. He's from France, not Quebec. There's a difference. He goes, you are lucky you're going to Canada. The heat, I can't handle it. The older I get, the less I can handle it. I'm like, oh, my God. That sounds like me in the cold. I've just switched one for the other. But if I can rotate them, that's the ticket. Sports update. The Dallas Stars can clinch a berth in the NHL's Western Conference Final with a win over the visiting Colorado Avalanche tonight. The Stars lead that best-of-7 series 3-1. Colorado will be without standout forward Valeri Nichushkin, who has been suspended for at least 6 months and placed in Stage 3 of the league's player assistance program, but we've beaten that to death. Toronto can advance to the Professional Women's Hockey League Championship Series with a win tonight in Minnesota. Toronto has a 2-1 lead in the best-of-5 semifinal series. Meanwhile, Boston booked its ticket into the Walter Cup final with a 3-2 overtime win over Montreal last night to complete a sweep. I'll have to ask Johnny O if he knew about Boston moving on to the league final of the Pro Women's Hockey League. NBA playoffs, Canada's Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, the Oak City Thunder, host the Dallas Mavericks in Game 5 of their Western Conference Series tonight. The Thunder leveled the series at 2 games each with a win on Monday. Also tonight, the Celtics can eliminate the Cleveland Cavaliers with a win at home. We talked about Landmark Cinemas. They bring you the sports updates every day, but it is the Wednesday movie Twosome special today, so go check it out. There is only one Stanley Cup playoff game tonight, so now would be the time to go to a movie. Also brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. Mandy in Edmonton says RP is too funny. Too cold, too hot. I know, I'm not proud of it. And at some point, I'm going to have to make a choice, and I guess I kind of have. But if I could, I was telling my sponsor this morning, I guess now would be a time to say it. I felt if I put it in a column or something, it would be too, whatever. I always thought Terry Simpson, the former coach of the New York Islanders, Prince Albert Raiders, had it the best. 6 months in the summer at Candle Lake or wherever lake north of PA, Emma Lake, Waskasiu, I'm not sure. But 6 months in Lake Country north of PA, 6 months in Arizona. I always thought, Simso's got it figured out. I'm thinking if I can spend 3 months on the prairies or in Canada and 9 months here, that's the thing. That's what we're going to try. Utah Darren says, that's why I like Utah. If you don't like the weather, wait 10 minutes. It'll change. Well, and that's Calgary. And I've done my Calgary thing. I'm not saying I won't go back, but it's not in the plans right now. David in Winnipeg says, you and Moose, come take in the Banjo Bowl that is nearly sold out. Well, the plan was to come back at Labor Day. Maybe we'll stay a week. We'll see. Ryan in Saratoga, New York says, have a great Wednesday, Rod Squad. Enjoy whichever sports you watch tonight or don't watch. Thank you, Ryan. That's very inclusive. I appreciate that. Thinking about the non-sports watching people, but I feel like if you don't watch sports, you're probably not watching this show. I don't know why you would. Yeah, but vote on our polls. Support our sponsors. The poll question today is, who's going to win this series, Vancouver or Edmonton? I've gone with Vancouver, but that's only because Serena gets mad when I pick her team. So, yeah. That's it. Thanks to Barney for nothing and Arash. We'll see you tomorrow.
Who has more fun than us?
Done deal. LFG, let's go. Right on.